If you're into things like innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, quality, and a really good value, then you'll want to stick around because we are about to unbox and review the contents of the player pack from Blue Tees Golf. And then after we do that review, I'll introduce you to the guy at the head of the company so you can learn even more about what they're about to bring to the marketplace. Blue Tees Golf, a pretty cool overview and review today. Hi friends, Bill Hobson here, and I'm glad you're along for the ride as we take a peek inside the Blue Tees Golf Player Pack. It's a pretty cool combination of laser rangefinder, Bluetooth speaker, and some other accessories that will really play a big part in making your next round of golf more fun and more memorable. And by the way, it's really quality stuff. Let's take a look inside the box together and just a little preview of what's to come. After we look inside here, we're going to leave the studio behind and head over to a golf course so you can kind of see how all of this stuff interacts in real life, out in nature, so to speak. But first, the really good presentation, a very solid box as the grand unveiling takes place, right? And in here, we have our primary components, the Bluetooth speaker, the laser rangefinder, the magnetic hub, the 6-in-1 divot repair tool. We'll explore more in that realm a little bit later on, and even the thoughtfulness of including batteries that go in your rangefinder. How often have you bought something only to find out when you were just ready to use it, batteries not included? Not the case here. Actually, this box is so well put together that I almost forgot to tell you that hiding underneath the magnetic hub and the divot repair tool your carrying kit for the rangefinder. Everything here has magnetic attachment components to it, and we'll get to that here in a few moments. But I want to show you as I pull this thing out, and I'll throw the battery in it as we go, that this rangefinder it's not a toy, right? There are a lot of new rangefinders making their way onto the market these days, and they don't always carry with them a really solid feel that fill you with confidence that you're going to be given accurate information or that they'll withstand a season's worth of use. Maybe there's some weather that doesn't cooperate. Maybe they get jostled around a bit. This is a very solid device, and it also comes with a slope indicator switch, right? I'm going to talk more about that when we get to the golf course, but for those situations like practice rounds or some of the tournaments you play in, that might allow you to use slope indicators in your rangefinders, it's as easy as on and off here with the Blue Tees Golf rangefinder. More on that here in just a few moments. As I mentioned, everything has a magnetic component to it. It'll look better out on the bag and on the cart, but not only will the rangefinder and the speaker stick to your golf cart, but if you're not using a cart, maybe you're pulling your bag, maybe you're carrying it, maybe you want some other form of attachment, they also both stick right onto this magnetic hub quite solidly, and I'll demonstrate that for you in a few moments. So instead of me continually telling you that I will demonstrate that for you in a few moments, let's leave the studio now. Give me a moment or two to charge up the speaker, and then we'll take an up-close look and listen to it, this, and more out at the golf course. This from Blue Tees Golf, the Player Pack. See you in a minute out at the golf course. We have found a beautiful day to come outside and test out the player pack from Blue Tees Golf. So let's reopen the box that I showed you inside the studio. As it turns out, I didn't really need to delay things to charge the speaker because thankfully it already came fully charged. So let's start with the speaker. This is the component that these days seems to be of most interest to a lot of golfers. So first we'll fire it up. I'm going to show you how quickly and readily it pairs up with your device. We're going to turn it on here with the T's. You'll hear it. It's a very pleasing sound, don't you think? And now we're just going to hit this button for the Bluetooth pairing. We are already paired. Now that's what I call rapid fire, and we can get right into some music. Crank it up a little bit, because who doesn't want to hear this everywhere? Oh, I was forwarding the music instead of turning it up, but you get the idea. There's a built-in magnet on that speaker that lets you put it on the side of the cart, attach it to the metal railing, and it is as secure as you could want it to be. Just wanted to show you that this thing can really crank up the sound, which is not permission for you, by the way, to disturb the golfers around you. I know that that's a temptation, but the speaker's really good quality sound. It's hard to convey that through video, but it is really good. We'll continue to leave that running while I show you the rest of the player pack. I told you that it came with a magnetic bar. Well, what's the purpose of this? Well, you might not be riding in a cart. You might be out with your push cart. You might have the bag over your shoulder, and where are you going to put the speaker? Do you want somewhere convenient to put the rangefinder? Of course you do. It's got a big buckle on the back. It's very tight, very secure. I'm going to throw it on the back of my bag here just so you can kind of get a feel for how readily it connects, all right? We'll put it on the cart strap for now, and I'm going to show you how things stick to it because it's pretty darn secure on here. Big magnet on the back of the player. There you go. I can do the same thing with the rangefinder. And even though I have that hanging loosely on the strap, it's a very secure connection. So wherever you put this, you can mount it on the side of your bag. You can find anywhere on your push cart. Suffice to say, the magnet is a very good thing. It's going to help you keep track of these and always have a ready place to put them if you're not in a cart. Now, if you're in a cart, you're just going to go here, and they are going to sit there securely for a long time. The last piece of the puzzle here in the player pack is what they say is the 6-in-1 divot repair tool. Now, I love the folks at Blue Tees Golf. I'm just going to tell you it's a little bit of a stretch to talk about this being 6 tools in one, but you can get there. You got your divot tool, you've got a bottle opener, you've got a club rest or a cigar rest. Of course, you have the ball marker, and there are a couple other applications that fill out the list of the 6 purposes. Regardless of how many things you use it for, it's really pretty cool. It's kind of got a chrome look to it, and we want you to fix your ball marks. In fact, we want you to fix yours and a couple others. One last thing before we go. Is the rangefinder any good? Yes, it is. I can't very well show you what the display looks like because the camera doesn't work that way. But this comes with an on-off toggle switch for slope calibration. Please be sure that if you're playing in an actual tournament, you talk with the officials of that tournament and see if the local rule allows you to use a rangefinder that has slope. Sometimes they'll say yes, but you can never turn it on. And sometimes they'll say, no, we don't allow that device there because too many controversies could come out of it. Having said that, this is a ready point, click, and you've got your distance. I'm looking at a couple pine trees over here on the left, 162 instantly. If I do turn the slope on and go to the top of the pine tree, I'm at 171 with 3 degrees elevation. Again, check your local rules. This is really good. It's really sturdy. It's really solid. And in the era of everybody has a rangefinder, the competition has actually been to your benefit because the technology has improved and the prices have come down. So if you've never heard of or never tried Blue Tees Golf before, this might be the time. And if you decide to do so, make sure you do it via the player pack. I am a fan of entrepreneurship, innovation, and people in general who are willing to kind of step out into what might already be a crowded marketplace. And in the world of golf, do something to make a difference. And that's what's happening with our friends at Blue Tees Golf. And I am excited to have my first conversation really with the guy at the head of the company, Drew Koehler, who is in a much warmer climate than I am as he sits in Los Angeles today. Drew, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. And I have to think that maybe it was dating back to the PGA show in January, but these must be nonstop sprints for your whole Blue Tees Golf team since that launch and since the marketplace has started to absorb what it is you're putting out. So how's life in the Blue Tees world?
Life is amazing. We're busy. We're getting ready to release new products. We're going international. So it's been nonstop since we saw each other in Orlando for myself and our CEO, for our head of creative, right, for our head of product development. And so it's everybody at the company is just firing on all cylinders right now.
I would think so. There's so many things happening. Plus, for many people in frozen parts of the country, like myself, we
Yep.
once the Masters takes place, we hit golf fever at a pretty high stage, and we're ready to go and play, and just waiting for the frost delays to lift.
Yep.
At the same time, at some point, you had this idea in your mind that you wanted to launch a company that puts out products that in many ways you can find on the marketplace already, right? So it's a crowded marketplace. I think that's a
Yep.
fair description for what the world of speakers and distance measuring devices and that kind of thing is. Why did you decide to do this? Why Blue Tees Golf?
Yeah, it's a great question. Myself and my best friend Chris, we were living in San Francisco at the time. We had grown up with each other. The two of us and another guy that we grew up with, who's also kind of the third amigo there, Brandon. He's living in Southern California at the time, but we knew we wanted to start something together. We had the entrepreneurial bug. We were happy with our 9 to 5s, but we wanted to do something where we got to control the narrative and create what we wanted to create. And we were golfing a little bit more at that time, and we had gotten to a point in our golf game where we wanted to get a distance measuring device, right? We thought that our game necessitated to take it to that next level, knowing the distance to the front of the green, to the back of the green, right? Making sure that we weren't short, making sure that we weren't flying the green, right? And, getting in the green and reg. And so at that time, back in, gosh, this was 2018, there were really kind of two options on the market for distance measuring devices. There was the ultra premium, really high end rangefinders. You know them today, right? They're the $400, $500 units that they're awesome, right? They work really, really well. And then there's kind of those direct from Amazon that were around $100. At that time, and I still fully believe in this, like my game does not necessitate a $500 distance measuring device unit, right? I would much rather go get a couple of lessons from the local PGA Pro to get my game a little bit better. And so rather than buying that unit, myself and Chris, we each bought one off of Amazon for around, 100, $150, and neither of them worked. And so having that entrepreneurial spirit, we kind of looked and we said, well, there's an opportunity, right, to create a brand and a company that offers really high quality products at what we believe to be a really fair and accessible price to value ratio, right? So not super cheap, not super expensive, right? You get what you pay for, obviously. And so we wanted to create a company that was poised for kind of that middle ground. And then on top of that, what we wanted to do and what we didn't see in the game of golf were companies creating brands around technology. You have a lot of really incredible brands in footwear, incredible brands in hard goods, right? And incredible brands in accessories and apparel, right? I'm wearing a Travis Matthew sweater right now, but we didn't see anybody doing that in technology. And so all of that kind of led us to this crazy idea of let's go start a company. Let's start with rangefinders and let's see what happens.
Okay, so for those who are watching our interview via Zoom, I have the player pack sitting next to me, and in that pack is the great speaker. It's got the rangefinder, it's got the magnetic bar, it's got the divot tool. So you've got this package, and at a good value, you can generally pick up this player pack for less than the price of some of the high-end rangefinders. And I'll get into that in a moment, how you put all that together. But I'm really interested in the logistical steps that three buddies took from idea, like, man, somebody should do this, to, hey, we're going to do this. Because it's not like you can just head on over to Ace Hardware and pick up the components to make a rangefinder. I was going to say Radio Shack, but they haven't been around for about a decade and a half.
Yeah.
So when you decide you're going to do this, even before you have the name of Blue Tees Golf and before you've started to work on the brand development, you've got to have quality product.
Yeah.
How in the world do you start this process? Are you jumping on a plane and going to China and visiting manufacturers? I mean, how do you do the hardware part of this whole equation?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when we started started Blue Tees, right, Chris, Brandon, and I, we come from and we have very different professional backgrounds. And I think that was one of our advantages as we started this company and how we grew it. Um, Brandon, our chief creative officer, and really he's the special sauce of Blue Tees, is an industrial designer by trade. He is very savvy with hardware, engineering, industrial design, mechanical, right? And so he's really the brains of the brands that you see, the product, kind of the marketing component of this. And so we're really lucky that Brandon has experience in manufacturing products in the past. He has actually been to China, right, multiple times. And so when we first started Blue Tees, that was really his subset of the business and where he went. We weren't flying back and forth to China in the beginning because it was, that 2018, 2019 we kind of started, and then you kind of get COVID, right, that hits
So
in
you
and around
launched the
that.
company also in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
crazy too. Somebody told me at that time that starting Blue Tees and an investment in Blue Tees was riskier than a restaurant, and that's when restaurants were closed down. And so it's kind of like it's that little thing that I have just written on the wall, right? Like, it's not riskier than a restaurant. But to address your question, right? Brandon, right? He was able to digitally connect with his network. We're able to fly samples back and forth, right? We're able to get 3D prints back and forth, and through his network and his expertise, we're able to land right on a product that he designed, helped manufacture, that we felt was adequate and sufficient for us to launch the company with, which was our Series 2 family of lasers. And then Chris and myself kind of took it from there. I've got a go-to-market business development background. Chris has a finance operations background, and so that was really the start of bringing our products to market.
I have this theory that because let's just roll the clock back to 10 years ago when there were really only a couple companies doing rangefinders. Bushnell, of course, would be the 500-pound gorilla in the room, mostly because they were already doing that sort of thing for the hunting industry. And that's kind of, and for the military stuff. So it all kind of came over and they were like, hey, there's this untapped sector. And they did a really good job with it. I mean, at the time, there were really only one or two players on the showroom floor. And the technology was somewhat unattainable for innovators and new entrepreneurs like yourselves. You really had, I think you'd have to have a rocket science degree and all that. And over the course of the last few years, I think the technology has become more ubiquitous. You can find GPS stuff in your phone. You can find it in your watch. You can find it basically everywhere. And as you start to dial in some of the rangefinder stuff and the laser capabilities, and then you get into the speakers and all this, is it accurate to say that when the technology became more obtainable, then these dreams became more realistic? You didn't have to go and invent the wheel. You could take what somebody else had already put on their car and try to make it a little better.
I think I think every day technology changes. It gets better and better and better, right? I think we have more technology in our daily lives today than we did yesterday, truthfully. And so I think as we become more reliant on technology, right, and as we becomes more normalized, I think you see it flowing into other parts of our lives. And I think specifically with golf, um, we're able to see more of a demand, right, and more of a ask and want for speakers, right, for distance measuring devices. And so I think that demand has created a lot of really cool companies, specifically Blue Tees being one of them, right, to be able to meet that demand. And so I do think with that demand, you've been able to see more and more of us out there, right, which is really, really neat. But yeah, I think to your point, right, it has probably made it a little bit easier to access the hardware.
Yeah, and as you know, as a golfer, all it
Mm-hmm.
takes is a little negative word of mouth, and no matter how good your idea is, if word starts to spread that it's not worth the money, then you're dead in the water. It's over with. And so one of the things that most impressed me in the unboxing and the review that we did of the player pack was how quality the stuff is. I mean, it's really,
Thank
really
you.
good. And it's hard for me to convey that in a podcast form. So I hope people will pay attention to the review video and the outdoor stuff that we did with both the speaker and the rangefinder. And um, when you get to that point where you have some financial decisions to make, and that is,
Yep.
how much are we going to invest in this? What do we want our landed costs to be? I sound like I'm on Shark Tank, but I've learned some of these phrases, you know. You have some decisions to make. You could go cheap plastic, you could go lightweight, you could go a magnet that's not very strong. You guys didn't do that. I mean, this is all really, really solid stuff. And I tried shaking it off of the magnetic bar. You can't do it. It's reliably there. And for golfers who are afraid of, you know, something falling off and them losing an expensive component, it looks like you guys have really delivered on the quality side of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, we wanted to create a high quality product. Um, if the reason why we had this idea of starting the company is because two of the products that we purchased, they weren't quality, right? And they did break. One of them was software, one of them was hardware. And so we wanted to make sure that a quality product is at the core of everything that we put out. We don't want the customer to have a poor experience in working with us, and we stand behind our products 100%. We actually have a 60-day money back guarantee with all of our technology products. So you buy it at blueteesgolf.com. You've got 60 days, no questions asked. And then we have a 2-year warranty on the rangefinder because we stand behind it and the durability of that. I think industry standard is probably 1 year or 12 months. And so, yeah, quality is at the core of what we do and something that we're really, really proud of.
I showed in detail the quality of the packaging and just what it's like to finally, you know, when you first set your eyes on what's in the player pack. It is very impressive the way that you guys put it together. And I poked a little bit
Thank
of
you.
fun. You haven't seen it yet, but I poked a little bit of fun at some of the divot repair tool claims of being 6 tools in one, right? So I'm not sure I can get to 6, but I know I can fix ball marks. I can rest my putter on there. I can open a pop bottle. I can mark my ball. I think that's probably, I guess I could pry something open for number 5. Did you guys kick around some bullet points like, hey, we got to get this thing to 6 in one in our in our planning and discussions, you know, because you always want something to be a
Yeah,
little bit more.
yeah, I think the divot tool itself, right, you can use as a divot repair. I'd say, the ball marker component of it is definitely,
Yeah.
we consider that to be one of the features. If you notice, the ends of that divot repair tool are pretty thin and sharp. And so one of the features of it is it is a groove cleaner for your club. So that's definitely a
I
feature of it,
forgot
right?
that one. Yeah, you're right.
Right, like a lot of divot tools are, if you've got the circular ones, right, they're a little bit thicker on the end. The plastic ones that some of the courses give out for free, or even some of the metal ones that the courses give out for free, they're a little bit what's the word I'm looking for, but they're kind of curved, they're not as sharp at the bottom. There obviously is the bottle opener, there is the ability to rest your club on it. And then rounding us out to lovely number 6, you can set it on the putting surface, right, and kind of like help you align for your putting. And so, it just depends on how you like to use it, but it is 6 in 1. I promise you that we don't make those false claims on the features of the product.
Never, I just couldn't remember what all 6 of them were. The last
Yeah.
one with the aiming, that's a little bit of a stretch, but we'll give you 5 for sure. We'll give you 5.5, but it doesn't look as good on the box.
I mean, the hottest putter of all time, right? The Odyssey 2 ball, man. You
I
can claim that helps
I
you line it
use
up, right?
I use the triple track. I use all that stuff. So believe me, I need
Yeah,
all the aiming help I can get. How
yeah.
has response been to the player pack? And then we'll talk about what new is coming out.
Yeah, the player pack's been awesome receptivity. Again, kind of as we think about our strategy of offering really high quality products at an accessible price point, I think that's exactly what the player pack does. I think the utility of the player pack and the products in there are also pretty awesome, right? So the distance measuring device and the rangefinder, the speaker, I think those are pretty self-explanatory as to why you'd want those. But what we really get a lot of feedback on, positive that people are a bit surprised on, is that magnetic hub. I do a lot of walking out here in California, and with that, right, sometimes putting a laser in and out of the the case is a bit of a pain and a hassle. And so having that magnetic hub on the bag and just putting the laser on and off, we find that people are like, oh, didn't exactly understand what the utility of this product was, but I love it. And so we've got a lot of positive feedback on that. And then the divot repair tool, people are really enjoying that. Once they buy a black one, then they see on our website that we've got the rose gold and the silver. Oftentimes they're coming back for more. It's a solid product. And so the player pack is really doing well for us, and we're happy with the response from our customers.
So you're in the crowded marketplace. You have this great pack. You can also, of course,
Yep.
get the components individually. And you were telling me off microphone that there's some more stuff coming out. So what's next on the horizon?
Yeah, we're really excited. We showed these at the PGA show for the first time in Orlando in January, but we've got two new hardware products coming out in the second half of this year. The first one is our Ringer handheld GPS unit. So it's about 3.5, 4 inches in length. It's got a built-in magnet, but it's a full glass touchscreen handheld GPS unit with 41,000 courses preloaded into it. So really excited about that product. For those people that just want a GPS unit, for those walkers that are looking for something compact, right? And then for folks across the pond international who aren't using speakers, right? Who do have kind of just the push carts, it's a perfect product for a lot of folks. And then we do have our second generation speaker coming out. It's our first generation GPS speaker called the Player Plus. Really looking forward to this product. It looks very similar to the speaker on the player pack that you have behind you, but it does have a 3.5-inch all glass touchscreen integrated into the product. And so as we think about a speaker with GPS distances right in front of you, that's the thought process there. So you'll have your front, middle, back distances. You'll be able to swipe with one finger, just like you do on an iPhone. You'll be able to swipe and catch your driving distance. You'll be able to get your distance to hazards. You'll be able to see what hole you're on, the handicap number, things of that sort. And so those two products will be dropping in the second half of the year. And we're really, really excited about those and the potential that they have to, bring BlueTees into the GPS market and kind of expand our product offering.
That'd be very cool. I can't wait to see those things kind of hit the marketplace and get a look at
Thank
those.
you.
By the way, we will know for sure how fully committed Drew is to the game of golf when he tells me the name of the dog that just entered his office. Because if it's a golf related name, we'll know this is for real.
No, that's my puppy Rue. She's a 2.5-year-old rescue. Yeah, but she's looking at me and saying, "Dad, when are we going for a long walk?" But we've got plenty of time to continue to talk about golf.
Well, I thought maybe it was Chip or Wedgie or something. You just never know, right? With the dogs in the golf industry, you never know.
100%.
In Nicholas
Chip.
or something like that. So
I like those.
I got one more question for you, and that
Yeah.
is the overall vibe of the brand, the
Yeah.
BlueTees golf brand. As we've talked about a couple of times, technology is prevalent throughout the industry in this realm, in this sector. I have really been impressed by the quality of everything that you offer and the value at which you offer it, by the way. And I don't want to overlook that part, because for golfers, that's a pretty big deal. You can get really good stuff that will last you a really long time at a great value. But what's the BlueTees vibe all about? What are you guys hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, when we started BlueTees, we were inspired by a lot of brands, right? There's some incredible companies out there inside and outside of golf. Inspired by companies like TravisMathew, who kind of came in to what was a traditionally, pleated khaki pants, buttoned up polo shirts, and made it more of a lifestyle, right? You've got more comfortable quarter zips, you've got fun prints on shirts. It's more of that laid back Southern California feel. And three co-founders, or four co-founders, excuse me, were all from Southern California. So that idea of disrupting maybe a more traditional sport was really interesting to us. And we took a lot of inspiration from what they did. As we think about technology companies like GoPro, I think most people, when they hear GoPro, they don't think camera, they think, wow, what type of action sport, right, am I going to be performing? Am I skydiving or am I snowboarding? And what kind of cool experience can I share with my friends? When you think about what Apple did and how they transformed personal computing, right? Apple was the computer for creatives, and it stood for something much more than just a computer. We didn't see anybody doing that with golf technology. And so our whole goal is to create really cool products, create a brand for what we believe is the modern golfer, right? The modern golfer, it's not an age demographic, it's not a gender, right? It's a subset of golfers who are really looking to I think kind of push the game of golf forward and to differentiate a little bit in the way that they look, the way that they play. They care what they look like on the course. They might have a Jones Golf or a Vessel Golf bag. They might have a Seamus Golf or a Swag Golf head cover, right? They might have the new Golf Pride MCC College Series grips, right? They care about everything that goes into their appearance on the golf course. Look good, feel good, play good, right? And so we wanted to create a golf technology company that really, stood for something more. And we hope that, when you walk up to the tee box, a lot of the first, the questions that you get are we playing from the whites or the blues? And we hope that people feel confident enough in our technology, know that it is going to work every single time, and kind of have that confidence transpire in their game so that they feel comfortable saying, like, hey, we're playing from the blue tees today. We got this, right? And that they can, walk a little taller, play a little bit more confident, right? And then, feel good with the products and the brand that they're representing out there.
Well, it's a great concept, and I'm excited for
Thank
your
you.
team. Thanks for introducing us to it through the player pack, and hopefully more and more of our audience will start to explore and discover a brand that perhaps they weren't as familiar with before the conversation began. That's kind of the whole point of the exercise.
Yeah.
Try something new, save
Yeah.
yourself some money, and realize that it's really, really good gear. So we'll stay in touch, especially when your next wave of products comes out onto the marketplace.
Well, thank you for the time. Michigan is a place where we spend a lot of time. It's a place where we're trying to really bring our company, our brand, our products to. And so appreciate your time, appreciate this platform to share a little bit about Blue Tees Golf, who we are, what we do, man. So thank you.